So, John, as you know, a lot of people, when we made the announcement of the acquisition of Archer, said, why Archer and why did EMC acquire it within the RSA security division? And from my perspective, the value proposition was clear. Increasingly, we've seen over the last several years, corporations and organizations get to a point where they had so many point control products that not only could they not keep up with the management of them, but there were perilous gaps of risk that were exposed day in and day out by fraudsters who were able to navigate between these control products. And what we saw in Archer was a platform that could give us a management capability to bring these control products together in the context of a company or organization's corporate risk and compliance program. Further, with our investment in our Envision platform, our security information event management platform, we knew that we were collecting tremendous amounts of data that would report on the performance of these controls that we could pass back to the Archer framework that would allow us to have a dashboard of reporting, but also the ability to not only remediate, but to respond real time to the facts and circumstances that were occurring across the infrastructure. We also saw Archer as a far more broadly applicable asset than just IT GRC and just in the security space. And it'd be great if you could amplify on your view of how Archer developed and how you see the GRC space evolving and Archer's role within EMC in that regard.
Sure. Well, I think I'd like to start off by saying thank you for letting us be a part of the EMC family. It's very exciting for all of us here.
Thrilled to have you.
You know, as Archer started its journey about 8 years ago, we focused on the IT GRC market first. And what happened from our customers over that the next 4 to 5 years is we saw a convergence between the finance GRC and the IT GRC space. And that's the space that we began to play in, which grew up to be the enterprise governance, risk, and compliance space that we know today. And we see that space as really 4 domains in today's market, from an IT perspective, a finance perspective, an operations, and a legal. And I think Archer was most excited with our early discussions around the IT component of GRC with the relationship with RSA. And I think we had many strategic discussions over the last year and a half in regard specifically to IT GRC. But as we broaden those discussions around EMC, we begin to see a much larger fit across the finance, the operations, and the legal components to be in a position to be the leader in the next, really the future of enterprise GRC, the next evolution of GRC as we see it, by bringing together a very strong process-based GRC technology with solutions at the technology and the business level that solve problems. And by aggregating that information back up in a control base, it paints the picture for what the future is going to look like for GRC.
Yeah, and I think that's a very important observation to make to people, because not only does EMC have a number of assets, like its resource management portfolio of software, its business recovery systems software, and even, quite frankly, our sister company, VMware, and having this platform apply in a virtual environment. But the other leverage you get from EMC is the partnerships more broadly across the enterprise space that we can connect the Archer platform to. And as we discussed over the period of the last year, I think a big leverage point for you is the reach that EMC can give Archer to extend its value proposition a long, long way.
Sure. I think early on, as we had these discussions, Archer saw the value and the strength of relationships that EMC had in the space to do things that no other company had done before when you combined an Archer-type technology with EMC. And the relationships with VMware and Cisco and Intel and the future relationships that we have with organizations of that size is very encouraging for us.
The other thing, too, is I think systems integrators are a big part of your strategy, and I think a big part of EMC's success. And again, I think the EMC footprint with systems integrators is another place where you will get a lot of leverage. And quite frankly, we're kind of champion at the bit to have you as part of the portfolio to add that to our offerings to the systems integrators.
Sure. I think if you look at Archer last year, about 95% of our revenue was U.S. based, and we relied heavily on our SI partners here in the U.S. to help bring us into those accounts. But being a part of EMC leverages that on a much larger basis, on a global basis. So we now have relationships through EMEA and through Asia. I think we're going to see some significant growth this year outside of the U.S., as much as 20 to 30% of our overall growth.
Again, congratulations on the acquisition. I guess congratulations to both of us, and welcome aboard.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Art.